Hello, hello, kitty cats. Welcome back to another episode of Tails and Tassels, the podcast that explores the lives of burlesque and nightlife performers, their craft, their cats, and how these two worlds intertwine. I'm Gemma Smith. By day, I work in animal welfare, and by night, I host and produce the Catbaret, a cat-themed variety show in New York City. In today's solo mini episode, I'm going to share the story behind the Catbaret, its origins, growth, and purpose. Also, I wanted to provide some context for you listeners about the show's connection to the podcast and performers. I'm interviewing so many burlesque and nightlife performers who have been in the Catbaret, and so I thought I'd take a little time to share more about the show. In addition, I thought by me sharing the evolution of my show, it could inspire others to start their own creative projects, whether a burlesque variety show or something else. And for those who are new to the podcast and haven't been to the Catbaret is a cat-themed cabaret variety show with comedy, music, sometimes magic, and burlesque, or as we like to call it, purrlesque. Currently, the show is held quarterly at Caveat, a theater that seats over 100 cat lovers on the Lower East Side in Manhattan. And we also offer live stream tickets for only $10. So cat lovers everywhere can join the fun. So I decided to create the Catbaret in 2018. This was a creative outlet for me after transitioning from acting to full-time work in animal welfare. I got divorced in 2016 and my life really changed. I realized that I needed a full-time job versus many different little survival jobs to support myself, but I really missed having a creative outlet. My initial inspiration started when I was attending local comedy shows at QED Astoria. This was a comedy venue in my neighborhood, and I had this light bulb moment. What if I create a cat-themed variety show? So I pitched it to QED, and my show was accepted, and I pitched it as a monthly show. And initial themes were things like, it's a pussy party, meowy Christmas and happy Hanukkahs, and meowdy gras. And the show had truly small beginnings. The first few shows, maybe there were just 12 to 15 audience members who were mostly my friends. Over time, the show evolved. I started building relationships with burlesque and nightlife performers. When I first started, I recruited my friends, right? My actor, singer friends. I tap danced. I played the trumpet. We had some comedy, some singing, some violin. And then I put some castings out for other variety acts and discovered burlesque. And this discovery led me on my own personal journey into performing burlesque. I started taking classes at the New York School of Burlesque within a year of producing the Catbaret. And over time, there was a growth of audience. At the beginning, I was genuinely happy. So if this helps anyone out there who's starting small, if there were one or two people who came to the show who didn't know me, the first few shows, I was thrilled. But over time, the audience grew, the community grew, as well as the production quality. I added show photography and videography and partnerships with local rescues. Now I'm collaborating with cat rescue organizations like Rescue NYC and Koneko Cat Cafe across the street from Caveat, as well as now collaborating with bigger brands who donate products to our raffle like Travel Cat and Cat Lady Box. Because my roster of performers grew and overall the quality of the show grew, I produced less often. I found that producing the show every single month was a lot for me, and I started moving towards every other month and then to quarterly. For me not to lead to burnout, that was truly crucial. In 2023, there were some big milestones for me. This is after about 5 years of producing the show. There was a bit of a halt due to COVID in 2020 and 2021. It took us a bit of time to come back to live shows. But when we were fully back in 2023, I was selling out the shows at QED. We were featured in Time Out New York. The editor of Time Out New York came to the show. It was truly an exciting time. And by this point, my roster of cat-themed and cat-loving comedians, burlesque performers, and singers had really grown. And magicians, too. In 2023, I decided to set a goal for myself to transition the show to Caveat in Manhattan. This is a larger venue, and I pitched the show to the theater, and they said they'd love to produce it. Our first show was in April of last year, and producing at Caveat expanded the audience capacity. We can now host over 100 plus cat lovers in a warm, community-centric space. What I really love about Caveat is that there are tables where people can sit together, just like at QED. I really like that warm cabaret seating type space where you can talk with one another at the table and interact and really feel like you're part of the show. Some unique elements of the Catbaret that I would love to share with you, especially to you listeners if you've never been. We love a theme. I've got to repeat that. We just love a theme. So from the beginning, I knew that I wanted to mix it up. I love cats. It's a cat-themed variety show, but there's got to be ways we can put a fun twist on it. So, for example, this year at Caveat, our themes are Galentine's Day Party in February, Just Kitten Around for spring and kitten season in April. We'll have Meowloween this October, and Meowie Christmas and Happy Hanukkahs for our holiday show this coming December. And from the beginning, I knew that audience participation is really important to me. It still is to this day. I love to infuse trivia and audience contest into the show. We also have a costume contest at every Meowloween show where our audience members do a little catwalk and the top costume wins a prize. I love raffles because this is a way that I can involve cat-centric businesses and organizations. They can donate an item to the raffle or sponsor us, and I'll be able to promote their items at the show and also on social media. So it's a win-win for everybody. And of course, from the beginning, I give out free cat ears to everyone who comes to the show, and that's something that I plan on continuing doing. It's fun. It's something you can take home with you. It's something you could take home with you, a little party favor. So many cat puns. But from the beginning, I wanted the audience to feel like they were part of something bigger than just going to see a show. They're part of our community. And I feel that way with the podcast as well, with the performers and audience members. And also inclusivity. It's important for me to make the show accessible for fellow performers and people who work in animal welfare. So I provide promo codes for $10 off the regular admission for any fellow performers or animal welfare workers. And if that's you, you can always shoot me an email at tailsandtasselspod@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram for that code. I do that at every show. Also, if you're listening and you don't live in New York City, we have a live stream for just $10, and it's accessible for 7 days after the show. If you watch it live, there's a fun chat feature so you can feel like you're part of the action with those also watching at home with their kitty cats. Thinking about community involvement, as I've mentioned before, it's really my purpose to create community for cat lovers here in New York City, and that's why I care about your feedback. I would love to know, a call to you listeners. Do you have any ideas for future themes or collaborations? Like I said, I have my shows planned for 2025, but I'd love to think of future events or meetups or perhaps shows next year that could have themes that are new to me, that I haven't done yet, that I just haven't thought of, but you might have this great idea. Please email me your suggestions and I'll share them in an upcoming episode. And lastly, I just want to give an encouragement to all of you listening to create your own art, your own work. When I started with Catbaret, I didn't have a lot of experience with burlesque or nightlife producing. It was genuinely a creative project that I felt was my outlet, my fun, my play, and it grew into something more. And so I encourage you, it's okay to start small, to dip your toes in the pond. You never know where it will lead you. And please stay tuned. Our upcoming episodes will feature inspiring cat-tastic stories from performers at the Catbaret, from actors, storytellers, singers, musicians, and most of all, a lot of burlesque performers. I absolutely love hosting and curating the Catbaret, as well as performing burlesque from time to time at the show. It's my pleasure to grow this community, not only of cat-loving cast members, but audience members as well. And that's a wrap for this episode of Tails and Tassels. Thank you for listening, and please, if you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Send it to a friend. Also, join our community on Instagram at Tails and Tassels Pod for more updates and behind-the-scenes fun. Take care, and until next time, kitty cats.